I shared it with James there yesterday when he was here helping out. We had to bucket half the tank out and pour it down the sink. We had 2 buckets, 1-gallon buckets. We walking back and forth to get it down so that we could add hot water and get it up. But I came across this and I thought it was neat because I think I have the best job in the world. And I don't look at it as a job because if you have a job, that means you go to work, right? I never go to work because it's a ministry that God's called me to and I enjoy it so much. But they list here 9 things, 8 or 9 things, that I recognize as part of what I have joy about. We get paid to study the Bible and prepare messages. Do you study your Bible? Anybody give you a shekel or a... We're dealing with matters of eternal significance. That's what today is. Eternal significance. Because the Bible tells us, believe on Jesus Christ. He'll take your sins away. And you can look forward to heaven. You know what Billy Graham said? And we all know what happened to Billy Graham this last week. He said at one point, he said, my last breath on earth will be the breath preceding my first breath in heaven. They say in the twinkling of an eye. You ever had a twinkling eye? I've never had a twinkling. Yes, I have. But I won't tell you her name. This is, you know, these are amazing things that we have to understand that God has prepared a place. That's what it said, right? I go and to prepare. You see, he'd been talking to the disciples about him dying, and they were all upset. And you know, my mother, when at 58, she discovered she had cancer, and she died at 59, and it was hard. I was 31, 32 at the time. And those moments are hard. But if we know where we're going, and I know heaven's real. I've had conversations with Jesus. He's told me all about it. The other thing about what I do, we get more opportunities to tell people that Jesus loves them. I wear all kinds of hats. Go get my hats, James, please. I got all kinds of hats, and I wear them all the time. And I told you about the time I was standing at Giant Tiger, and the guy in front of me had 2 kids, and the kids were normal kids, and they were having fun. And I winked with both eyes, so I was winking at them, and the littlest one was looking at me like this. And the father saw my hat. He said, "That's awesome. That's an awesome hat. I love Jesus too." I gave it to him. I just gave it to him. And then I gave a hat. I've given hats. These are just a few that I've got recently other than this one. And you can't put them on in church, right? Except unless you're a lady. This one says, "Forgiven." Isn't that kind of cool? You walk into a store and have that on your head, you know what they're going to say to you? "What are you talking about?" And then you can tell them. This one said, "God is good all the time." Is that cool? In fact, this hat is kind of interesting because over on the side, it's got it in the same color as the hat. And so it's like, you know, one of those things that messes with your mind. What do they call that? I don't know what they call that. Then I got a neighbor next door, Wayne. He's come over and done some plumbing for us. And this is the one that I want him to wear, but he won't. Can you read it? It says, "Jesus, heavenly devoted Son, Christ." Is that cool? And then on the brim it says, "Jesus loves you." That one's a good one too. Now this is my favorite, and I think Ruth would really like this one. Okay, who wants to read it? What's it say? Hooked on Jesus, and the J is a hook, like a fishing hook. You know, "I will make you." Hey, you guys are good. Isn't that great? And it comes in different colors. And I bought 15 when I was in Florida 3 weeks ago. But I love this one. What's it say? There is no denying that people will know what this is about. And you need to wear it. You see, that's part of my job. Here's another one. We get ministry expansion possibilities. You know what that means? Anybody know what that means? I didn't think you did. How many people here today? 5 years ago this week. Did you know that? 5 years ago this week, I had 11 people. And God changed all of our lives because I have been changed being here. Here's another one. We minister to people at significant points in their life. You got significant points in your life? Call me. I'll come over. We can talk. And so can you. Do you know what I love saying when I go sitting down and talk? And so I was in Saskatoon, and I was in there visiting one of the single young adults because she was having an issue, and she said, "What should I do with this?" You know what I said? What do you think you should do? You see, we have the answers within us. We just have to get somebody to help us get them out. And we get to preach. You know, I know some preachers that shouldn't preach. You know why? Because they just love the sound of their own voice. I don't like the sound of my own voice. That's why I turn this off when I sing. Because if you've heard me sing, you don't want to hear me sing again. We have more opportunity to develop spiritual disciples, which is you. You know, Jesus didn't call us to be Christians. He called us to be disciples. In the book of Acts, I believe, that was the first time the disciples were called Christians. So we're disciples. Because you know what Christian means? Anybody? Can you define what being a Christian means? In our Canadian society today, people on their census put down, or used to put down, they got another one now in there, you would put down which church or synagogue, or, you know, and they would put Christian over against Muslim or Jewish or atheist or and now we got another one. None of the above. You know why people have none of the above? Because they're searching for God and have never been able to find Him, because there has never been somebody that could talk to them and show them the way. I come here to show you the way. I'll show you the way. You can get in the, if you want to, we can baptize you right now. I'm still wearing black, so I don't have any problem. The other thing is we can go to different places and take Jesus with us all the time. It's a great time. But you know, just like you, I worry about stuff. And the first passage, you got it there, Hugh? John 14. Do not let your hearts be troubled. See, he told them about dying. He was going to die. And he had led them for 3 years, and all of a sudden he says, now it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You ever worry about stuff? You ever find yourself worrying about stuff? I worry just like you. Sometimes I'm up here and Deborah doesn't phone me for a couple of days, and I wonder, is she okay? Sometimes I get in my 15-year-old car and think to myself, is this thing going to make it? Don't worry about it. needs a muffler right now, so anybody know where you can get a used muffler for 2,300? We do worry about things. We worry about how our parents are or how our children are. You know, the hardest thing for parents with children is the moving out. They worry about it. They worry about how will they do without me.
Oh, not here.
I knew that, you, but I wasn't going to say anything in front of everybody. Yeah, we do. Well, Deborah does. I never worried about any of my kids when they moved out. As they were going out the door, I said, excuse me, I need something. They looked at me and go, key, please. Yeah, we get to do that with something. Oh, no, you see, there's all kinds of things in life to worry about. Are my marks going to be good enough to get me into university? Have I done something to somebody and I know I've really hurt them, but I don't know how to apologize and I'm really sorry? They've probably forgotten that. You worry. Do not let your heart be troubled. So that means we have to take care of our heart. That means we have to give our heart to Jesus. Because He's the one that's going to take care of it. Just ask Him. Just ask Him. It's that simple. And I told you the statistic before. 92% of the things that we worry about will fix themselves. They will. I had somebody call me a couple of weeks ago, and they were all bent out of shape. And they were almost crying, and they didn't know what to do. And I said, here I go again. What do you think you should do? Of course, they went on and on and on and on. By the time they got to, and they said, that won't work either. But I go, don't think so. So what are you going to do? I'll see how tomorrow comes. You see, tomorrow is the day after your rest. And every time we rest from our problems, we get a new way of looking at things. And there's so many people who need Jesus. Find Him. He just shows up. I had a great aunt who was an amazing, amazing lady, Aunt Alice, and I had a 57 Ford Tiger Cat colors that I named after my great Aunt Alice. And she had some interesting sayings, and she said, the one is, she never got married, okay? And she said, I'd rather have something I can't have than to have something that I don't want. She also said something else. She said, when you want something, seriously want something, you'll get it. I said, what do you mean by that? And she turned to my daughter, and my daughter always likes to have a boyfriend, okay? Don't ask me why. She always wants to have a boyfriend. And she said, you need to tell your daughter that don't go looking for him, God will bring him to you. Really? Excuse me, can I interrupt for a second? Is that true? Just that. We had a great time at their wedding. What a great time. And here's the thing. God will take care of you. There is no hyphenation. There is no commas. There is no punctuation that separates God from us. God will take care of you. Really? Just ask Him. Just ask Him. You want something to happen in your life? Just ask Him. I decided to go to school, and so I went, and at the time I was in the Anglican church, And I went to their head office in Toronto, and they said, you can't come here because you only have grade 12, you need grade 13. That's back when we had 12 and 13. Actually, we had 10, 12, and 13, but nobody tells you about 10. If you get out of school in grade 10. I didn't tell you that, Summer. So what do? Oh, you can go to Church Army. It's like the Salvation Army, but in the Anglican Church. And I thought about that for a second. I said, no, God called me. So I found out that I could go as a mature student to McMaster Divinity College, or I'd have to wait 2 years, or I could go to the university and take part-time classes and get so I could go there. And I thought, perfect. So I went to see the dean of the Divinity College, and he said, you have to do this, and this. I go, really? I don't think so. In the fall, I had been to Ontario Bible College's graduation ceremony in October, I guess it was. And I thought this was cool. The music was great, the kids, the students that were graduating, and there was Rabbi Zacharias. I don't know if you know who Rabbi Zacharias is. He's the #1 apologist in the world today to stand up for Jesus Christ. He was in the senior class, or going into the senior class. So we decided that we were going to, God works everything out. Because he worked this out. Satan tried to derail this significantly in the last 3 days. So I thought I'd go over there and see what they had to say. So my girlfriend at the time, we jumped in my 56 Meteor convertible. And when it rained outside, it rained inside. We drove all the way over to the school, and we pulled up in the back parking lot, and there was no school. This was August. And I went in there, and we sat there in the car, and we prayed, Lord, show me that this is where I'm supposed to be, but show me. We walked in, there's nobody around. We're standing right beside where all the students have their mailboxes, right? Because they live in dorm and in buildings all around the school at the time down in Bloor and Spadina. And we're standing there. There's nobody around. My girlfriend and I were both looking around, and all of a sudden this guy came through the hall. Oh, excuse me, can I help you? I said, well, yeah, maybe you can. I was thinking of coming here, but he said, well, you're talking to the right person because I'm the registrar. Come on into my office. I told him. I just put my faith in him. He told me. We asked, and within 2 minutes of getting out of the car, he answered. Now, I don't know about you, some secretary could have gone through, or executive assistant, or whatever they call them today. You see, we worry about things, but God takes care of it. Just ask Him. He'll do it every time. You see, sometimes we're at crossroads in our life. You know what a crossroad is? An opportunity to go somewhere else. It is. It's an opportunity to go somewhere else. No, I'm not leaving right now. It is. Crossroads are that. You see, sometimes we just don't know what's next. And sometimes that's the hardest thing in our lives to worry about. Do not let your heart be troubled. And he was talking about him dying, and he says, hang on a second. I'll explain why you don't need to worry. I'm going ahead of you. I remember my mom telling me about when they lived in Winnipeg, St. James, Manitoba, actually, which is just outside. It's part of the city now. And they used to have to walk a mile uphill to go to school and a mile uphill to come home. That's what she told me. I don't know how she did that. And her oldest brother would put on the snowshoes, and he would walk in front of the other five kids. And he'd walk along, and he'd take little steps so that the younger kids could walk in his footsteps. want to walk in Jesus' footsteps? I want to walk in Jesus' footsteps. I want to walk in His footsteps, not just today, but every single day. Because He knows what's next. He's already been there before us. He said that. He says, I go to prepare a place for you. By the way, back in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, it used to say, in my Father's house are many mansions. That's because we wanted people to come, because we're like, hey, you're living in a little hovel, a little one-bedroom flat. Just think. He's got a mansion for you. No, He doesn't. It says room. He's got room for you. He wants to get everybody there. I want to get everybody there. That's why I stand up here and talk, is because I want every one of you to show up in heaven. Because when I get there before you, because I'm old, I want to see you come. I'm going to be standing at the gates and I'm going to be jumping up, and here they come. Because I want everybody in heaven with me. And I know heaven's real. I really do. You see, we're afraid sometimes because we're all alone. We have nobody to talk to. We have nobody to ask. You know, I talk to people all the time, and they sit in their apartments, their houses, all by themselves. Deborah was doing that last week, and she told me when we talked. She knows Jesus is there. I know He's there because I'm sitting here alone. I got a 3,000 square foot house. For me? Really? Sometimes it's alone, isn't it? Some of us know what that's all about. But we're never alone if we have Jesus. We have to just believe in God that He is not only the creator, He's the sustainer, and He's the director of our lives if we let Him. Believe in Christ. And we have to come. He had to come to show us how to get there. He died for us. He paid for our sin. He's risen and He's conquered death and sin. And He's going to come back. He said that. I'm going to prepare a place for you, and I will be back to get you. I'll be back to get you. You got 1 Corinthians there? You? As it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things of God that He has prepared for those of us who love Him. You know what's happening tomorrow? I have no idea. He didn't let me know. But today we're here. And He called us to the table and He says, come. Come to the table.